Nice.
Yeah.
And we're live. Episode 3. Jake, we've done it.
Yep.
Survived the first 2.
Yeah, we have. It's been good.
Today's our first episode with our first guest. So this man has won 2 Australian Street Stock Championships in 2013, 2014. He's been a runner-up in Australian Championships 3 times. He's won 5 state titles and been in the top 4 21 times. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robbie Faux. Faux Train, welcome, man.
How's it going, people? Yeah, thank you. It's good to be here.
Won a tipping contest in there as well, somewhere along the lines.
Oh, I doubt it. Tips not too good of late.
I remember one. I remember one at Madrid, tipping contest in the XF. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, the XF one. I do remember that.
We used to run that annually, didn't we? The tipping contest at Timmins.
Yeah, that was cool. Pippi, I reckon, was in that as well. But Petru.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was wild. I remember that. Faux was slapping the back bumper of
Was
the
that
XF.
Top Gun weekend? Used to run it?
Yeah, I reckon it was. It was Top Gun towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's always a cool show, the Top Gun at Timmins. Wrap up the year, have a big bonfire, get on the beers.
Yeah, it's good now. Wingless dudes even hang around. I don't mind them now. Some of them are pretty cool.
Some of them are right.
Some of them good.
Right, so we wanted to get you on the show, Train, and obviously some people love you, some people hate you. Probably a controversial figure in Australian Speedway. And I think we're pretty fortunate to have you live here in Mildura. As I said, obviously, super successful street stock driver. And that's where most people will know you from. But stockies haven't been the only thing you've raced. So for a lot of people, I suppose their racing probably starts when they're in junior sedans or they sort of get into a senior class, maybe like stockies later on. But you had you were always competitive from a younger age too when you were racing BMX.
Oh yeah, BMX Bandit days. It's pretty cool. Started that was, I don't know, probably around 3, I guess. I think it was 1981. I reckon it's my first go in that.
That was 9 years before I was born.
Yeah, I know. Mrs. brings that up all the time too.
What, how old I am?
Yeah.
So,
BMX was cool. We're back into BMX now with the kids, and so I did that till I was around about 21, I guess, and had a pretty big crash over at Happy Valley of all places in Adelaide. So
yeah.
that sort of ended it for about 6 months. Tried to do a bit of a comeback, but yeah, your mum wouldn't spit it out, so it didn't happen.
Straight into how I expect this interview is going to go. Hang on, everyone. So, do you think that's where your competitiveness comes from, and being into a competitive solo sport at such an early age, not like a team sport like footy or tennis?
Yeah, I was about to say it, probably because it's an individual sport.
Yep.
There is a bit of a sort of a team feel to it, but it's more within your club. So your club, when you go away, so with Speedway, you go away and you're racing against your competitors in your class. When you go away with the BMX, even now we go away as a club, so you're racing for our club, which is Mildura Storm, but we're competing against all the other clubs. And so the kids don't get to race many kids at their own age locally, because the sport's just so big. Like we'll have a club show at Mildura with 60 kids, but there might only be 3 or 4 of them the same age. So when they go away, it's very rare that they'll be racing kids from Mildura that are their age. And if they are their age, well, then they're pretty supportive of each other. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think too, for someone who knows you pretty well on a personal level too, you seem really loyal, as in you're very loyal to your Mildura BMX club, the Storm, and you're very loyal to Mildura's Timber Speedway as well. It probably goes in peaks and troughs at times. You probably get the shit and let everyone know about it, but you're still super loyal to that club and obviously give it your all and want it to be a successful and focused club.
Yeah, pretty much so. Like, when you start to have enough, you just either get out or have a break. I'm sort of not one to get out of anything. Once you're out and you say you're out, then you come back, well, then you just look like a fucking idiot to everyone that says, I thought this cunt was fucking off. So I prefer just to go, I'm just going to have a break or just chill out a bit. So
I think that's what surprises people about the Faux Train too, is that you can roll into a committee meeting on X night and call someone a dickhead and then be there the following night for a work and bee still to make sure the joint is clean and prepared and runs well. And I think that's what a lot of your maybe haters within those clubs probably get the shits about, because they sort of expect you to call them a dickhead and get up and storm out of the committee meeting and then come back and then not to come back, and then they've got to see you again the next night.
Oh, well, I've always got a theory that club's bigger than an individual. So, for example, perfect examples with Timmins. I think it's the coolest club, and I defend the joint to the hilt. But if there's things that I don't like, or whether what I think's right, most of the time it's probably not. But to me, what I think is right, and I'll say my bit and defend what I say, and generally I've got something to back up what I'm saying. Otherwise, I wouldn't just. It depends. If I had too many beers or something, I'm hanging around with Jake or Big D, or
Don't blame me for
I might
this.
just say something that's random and go up. Then the next day I'll go, oops, I shouldn't have said that or something. But like the last couple of years, it's not we haven't done much racing. It's not because we've got, we don't want to be at the club, or we don't want to be going away racing or anything like that. It's just the BMX is just a bit full on. Like the kids it's 6 days a week for us, and we give them a bit of a break, and we sort of made plans at the end of last year, 2019, and I said to the missus, I want to do a couple of shows and do a bit of speedway, and we told the kids that, sort of January's mum and dad's turn, and their BMX takes a break. So that happened till Friday night when we took them to Shepparton, and now we'd sort of probably be doing a bit of both for a while, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll say, Faux, you obviously, like Nev touched on before, you can, you have a very big opinion like some people do, and you voice that opinion. But I will vouch that anything you do have an involvement with in organisation and stuff like that, it's probably one of the things that you don't get the credit for. With the Speedway, all the events that you've had your hand in organising have been very successful. And that goes also with the BMX club now that you're president of the BMX club and stuff like that. What do you think is your recipe for how you go about things that makes things like that successful? Because if we go back to the Top Gun at Mildura, or the very first Murray Magic that was held on Easter and stuff like that, when you've been involved, it's been a lot more successful than other years. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's not hard, it's an easy fix. If you're going to do something, do it 100%, or don't put your hand up to do it. There's too many people will jump on the gravy train to just be a part of something. At the start, they go, oh, this is cool, I'm going to be part of it. But then as soon as it comes time for the work, just don't bother. The BMX one's an easy one at the moment. So we've had Spotty down there for a couple of years, and the BMX have got a really good committee and a really good group, so everyone works well together. There's no, he's doing it this way or he's doing it that way. Everyone in the club's got their position, so they're all appointed to run that part of the club. So, like for instance, Shona does the canteen. We don't say to her, this is wrong, that's wrong. We advise her, what do you think of this, or what do you think of that? And then it's up to her to then say, no, this is why I'm doing it. Too many clubs have a committee and people don't want to help the committee because the committee they think they're running the show, yet they don't want to do all the work. So someone might want to help out with a position or some part of a club, and then the committee will go, no, it's got to be done this way. Well, hang on. Some bastards put their hand up to do the job. No one else wants to do it. Let them do it their way. Give you a opinion or advice or whatever, and explain why you think they should do it a certain way, and they will. So it's the same with that Murray Magic, that first one. The way we went out, and I just small things like I got Wade McCarthy to give me a hand at the start because he's real switched on with computers and all the kind of shit that I don't like. So
maybe you should come and help us at the Black Flag podcast.
that's it.
Nah. Faux in love. Before when we were getting set up, Faux found a love for himself on the camera. He's been staring
I
at.
like it, eh?
It's addictive, isn't it?
Hear himself, see himself.
It's cool. I do like it. And these things here.
Being able to hear yourself.
Yeah, can hear yourself.
Yeah, beatboxing and shit.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. I don't know why people put their hand up to do jobs and they're not doing 100%. If you can't do it, don't feel embarrassed. Just don't do it.
Just say so. Say, I thought I could do it, I can't.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
I prefer people to walk away than hang around for 12 months waiting for an
Make it
election
worse.
or something.
And just going back to the BMX thing, I think a lot of people don't realise how successful you were as a junior on a BMX bike. And I watched a video not that long ago of you in your current state on a BMX bike, and it defies logic. It's crazy.
Man, I
This guy
watch
can
him ride twice a week, and it's terrifying to see Faux train at his current size, current age. He's got that much power in his leg.
Just going to snap the chain.
Takes off from the start gate with these skinny little, like Aaron Wheatland, we got Australia 1 in his age group in Mildura. And Faux lines up at the gate next to him. Wheaties is built like a stick. Faux train's built like a train. And then the gate drops and all you hear is as Faux just pedaling down the front wheel, hasn't touched the ground. It's terrifying, man. I cringe.
Breaking wheel spin.
He is. He's cracking wheel spin the whole way.
And sweating.
Just sweating it up.
Look, I tell you, the BMX is cool. I had a pretty big crash in, I think it was early December. And I haven't done much since, but even on the way here to do this, Frosty's like, oh, Dad, in the morning, if I do sprints, can you come out and do it with me? I thought to myself, you don't say no when your kid says, oh, can you come do sprints with me? So I just, doesn't matter if you're 130 kilos or you're bloody 80 kilos or 70. And
More kilo wasps.
Yeah, exactly. Rocked up. The kids Shaq's always, if you think you can do better, you get a bike. I said, I'm taking a bike to the SA title. She goes, you won't be faster than me. Well, bugging me dead. The girl that normally beat Shaq broke her finger, so Shaq gets SA1 and ended up with a third or something. So I still couldn't win.
Yeah, couldn't give it to her. Just make sure you're talking to the end of the mic, man.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's better. So the people that
Keep
you've met...
keep looking at you can looking at yourself on these screens over here. So
It's funny too, isn't it? The people that you've raced BMX with over the years.
For anyone who hasn't done this, it's a trip out when you first see yourself on camera.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's pretty addictive.
How do you think I feel editing it when I've got to take the shine off your forehead every time? Lucky you're wearing a hat.
This guy.
It is good.
Yeah, hey Nev, let's go out in the sun for a while and see who comes out second best. Fucking redhead.
So the people that you
5 minutes.
met, the people that you met through, I'd turn to dust. The people that you met through BMX.
As you're back, Nev.
Yeah, it's good. Let's not roast me. This is your show. This is your episode, not mine.
That's right.
So the people that you met through BMX. So number one person that comes to mind for me that you met through BMX racing and now still to this day have a huge relationship with, and both of you have sort of been at the front of your class.
Mark Jennings.
Jeno.
Yeah, well, I met the Jenningses through, obviously, my parents and their parents got to know each other through BMX, and it was the first time they always had a big meeting down Mount Gambier, June long weekend or something. And, we went down there and stayed at their joint. And I think Snake's sneaking off for another piss.
Yeah, we've got to get him a catheter. Have to be a long hose, though, because it'd stink if it had to run into a bucket.
Yeah. But, so I got to know Mark then, and that's pretty much how we ended up in Speedway. Sort of, my old man was in Speedway for years, and he was in off-road and banged around in it. He had an old mid-mounted EH Holden. That's probably where he went wrong. Probably not the EH bit, but mid-mount. And why would you put all the weight in the middle and have a cool landing car when you could have it all at the front and just land out of control?
Land on the nose.
On the nose. But, so we got to know the Jenningses, and we followed them around when Mark was doing the Speedway, and then obviously Jamie as well. Not many people know, but Jamie was, at the time when Jamie was on fire, he was more successful when Jamie finished. He was going a lot better than Mark was.
Yeah.
Like I think he'd won a state title, Australia 2 and Australia 3 maybe, but it was always around about the same, like 3 or 4 years in a row. Mark was racing, but Jamie was full Hollywood when a shell for an AU Falcon was $5,000. Jamie would just go and get one, where Mark would be looking for something that he could get for free.
Yeah.
So when Jamie finished up, he was when he left Speedway, he was at the top of Speedway, where Mark, at the time, he was nowhere near the top. He was at the top for so long and then give up, and then he come back just to have a bit of fun, pretty much like we do these days with AL. You just want to go out there and be fast and get some tip-ins. But then I think Mark, or as everyone does, you get competitive, and Mark decided he wanted to win again. And when someone that good as Jennings decides he's going to win, you don't stop him. He just wins. He just goes and gets something that's cool and fast and wins. And then he went out and built this EA at the time when, there was a few around but not a heap of them, and he was unstoppable in it. He should have won an Australian title in Alice Springs. And it was only the car didn't let him down. He let himself down. He was that far.
He was probably hungover.
Nah, he was just. That was the problem. He wasn't hungover. If he had 10 beers or something, he would have won by heaps. It just got in his head and he just fucked it up like really bad.
Having 10 beers sort of stuffed him up at the Vic title though.
007. Lucky they didn't have that running of there 5 years ago at titles.
He wasn't game to try his luck on the breatho that night.
Nah.
Which was a shame because he's fast and he probably was a big shot there.
I think he was second or third in points.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I remember
this is the best part about Jennings. Nev, can you stop butting in? I'm talking. Fuck yeah. The best part about Jennings is when it all comes out and it happens, he just went and sat on the hill, didn't get the shits, watched the Speedway for the rest of the night. I reckon his mum and dad had the shits more because they've had to pay to come up and watch him do nothing because he didn't even get to race. But then from then on, the amount of piss that was taken out of him and still gets taken out of him now, he doesn't care. Like, everyone fucks up.
He's a crazy dude.
He's a good bloke. Like,
yeah, he is.
When it comes to the street stocks, Mark Jennings is right up there.
Yeah.
Who else is up there?
What do you mean, like driver-wise or
just
good dudes? Or
yeah, a bit of both. Who do you rate as probably the best?
Well, that was what I was going to say. So you won your Australian titles in 2013 and 2014. And in that time, there was a rivalry, I suppose, built between yourself, Brad McClure, and Anthony Bear.
It was crazy.
At the time, it was the three of you, like it was red hot between the three of you. And I remember when you won your first title, no one could sort of, like, everybody knew it was probably going to be one of you three who were going to win it, but nobody could say who. But now, obviously, Barry has continued to go on and he's won so many Australian titles between him and Heinrich. They've run most of them since you won yours. Same question I asked Jake, is Barry the greatest of all time?
Driver, yeah, he is. Yep. I think I'll put it this way, if Jamie stuck to just stockies and raced them week in and week out, Jamie O, I reckon their rivalry would be unreal. But
what do you reckon about your title count if it wasn't for Kelvy Gray? You reckon that'd be pretty up there?
Me and Kelly, actually, it's funny actually because we joke about this, but my first ever suspension, I'll say first because I've had a few. My first ever one come from Meekins down at I reckon we were at Rush. It was at Rosedale.
Yep.
And I'd had a really good week, like a weekend that was, and I thought I was a good chance to win. And yeah, I thought that I got, whether I was right or wrong and whether he was right or wrong, it just turned to shit and I got a holiday. And at the end of the day, that was it. But I actually get along with Meekins fine ever since that weekend because I just think to myself, there's no use fucking sooking about shit and if you got hate on someone forever, like everyone has their day and I'm sure he's had plenty of days since. If you keep an eye on the media, he hasn't had the greatest run either, a bit like myself. So I go to Bathurst every year, Meekins camps to, sights up for me and like he tried ringing me a couple of times a day, I noticed just before on my phone when I turned it on and who would know what it could be, how's Bathurst going, or have you got your sights organised, or it could be how was Speedway in Mildura last night, or so people think that they're like he's a good dude, and I get along with him pretty well. So
just on that, that's one thing I have noticed is like we've talked about in the other episodes or whatever, that the sanitised environment we live in, how many people speak to you to gauge your opinion on things in the official world, I would say, as in
Lots. Heaps.
Lots. Because your opinion is so raw.
You would be surprised of the people that ring me up for a conversation. And I'm not talking state, whether it be SA or Vic, and even Queensland, and even WA. But from national, there's people ring me up just to have an opinion.
Why are they ringing you and not other people?
People are just wanting that raw, unbullshit opinion.
Because if it's fucked, I'll just tell them.
Yeah.
So you read the new format for national titles.
Yep.
Straight after the Aussie at Mildura this year, you know, that we're at my joint the next day. Spin was there. Lockie, not that Jamie Locke's got an opinion that anyone would listen to.
He was going to come on the show today.
But he's a good dude. And when he starts, after a couple of beers, he actually does start to make a little bit of sense.
He gets smarter after a few beers.
Exactly. So we're all sitting around, and Toddy Orton was there as well, and another guy from Tassie that does a little bit for Speedway Sedans Australia. And we were just chatting about different formats, and you know, we actually spoke about a lot of sprint car shows, and especially a lot of late model stuff through America and stuff, where everyone's in the finals, and then you look at the Royal. I was checking your podcast out from that, you know, like people can talk about different formats and running a meeting like a national title. I hear it all the time. A national title should be over 3 or 4 meetings to get a true champion. But the spectators, that's shit for them, because like I look at the silo stuff and the motorbikes, you got to go to all these different shows.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I agree, 100%.
One weekend is the best. But the problem is, if Brody Boss, for example, at the Raw has a real bad one night and doesn't make the final. So to get your best guys in the final, you got to come up with something that's even to have everyone gets to race. So come the last night, final night, the way they're doing now, SSA, with that junior title, perfect example, with the 2 B mains, 3 from each go in, it's perfect. And then you get enough cars, there's C mains, D mains, whatever. But everyone come the last night, they're still racing to make the final. It just makes it way more interesting. I can remember that day at my joint with blokes that are just sitting around, having a beer, talking about it. Next minute it ends up, it's happening. That's just Speedway. That's how cool it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mad sport. And there's some big characters in the sport. Obviously, we know that you're one of them. Since we started this podcast, we've had people turn around to us and sort of say, hey, man, you should start vlogging. You guys should go to the track and start doing video logs and that. And I'm like, fucking Foley's been doing that for years. You just got to get on his Facebook and get past the point of him being super drunk, blinking at the camera, not talking for a few seconds.
Hey, I don't just do it when I'm super drunk, mate. Mr. says I do it during other occasions as well.
Yeah. Start blinking. Maybe it's when you get excited.
Oh, that's probably it.
So we spoke about your rivalry with
Barry. Let's talk about this for a second. So at the time when I won the title at Mount Gambier, so previous to that, for the probably 2 or 3 previous years, I think it would be fair to say that we were Barry's biggest rival.
It was almost like when he seen you, it made him make mistakes that he wouldn't make.
Oh, no, you know, I don't reckon he made mistakes he normally wouldn't make. He just used to get it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And when we would race him, he would be just so more committed. So for him to be more committed, I had to be more committed. So he would make mistakes, and then I would make mistakes. The amount of times that me and him would be running first and second in a heat race, and one of us would DNF. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because he'd bang a fence or I'd bang a fence, and he'd do a rack or I'd do a rack. Or
just on that, if anyone hasn't seen the Aussie Title A main at Mount Gambier, just probably put the link in the
YouTube it.
YouTube that
We'll
shit.
put the link
insane.
in the description. That was a cool race.
It's the second best race I've seen, apart from Kai Blight handing it to everyone over in WA. Although God was pretty good last week as well.
Well, so we spoke about that in the last episode. The Kings Royal just gone. You were up there. You ran up there and ran the stocky.
How dirty was Raymond? Filthy.
You know what? This is my point on it. Raymond made that race.
It was cool, huh?
Because if he didn't do that one slider about, I think it was less than 20 laps in or 25 laps in or whatever, if he kept following him, and he had plenty of times when he was closer, and I reckon he could have done it and cleared him. But I don't know what went through his head at that particular point in time, but when he did it, I reckon as he did it, he would have been thinking, oh, this is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But once it bounced into Kai, and Kai, if that was me, I would have junked the car in the fence, but Kai just bounces off and keeps going.
Yeah. So do you think that was one of the best sedan races ever? That race, obviously the whole event was good, but just between the two of them, that was you couldn't ask for a better race.
But them two was a brilliant race, but like I said, Raymond made that race because as soon as that happened, I've never seen Kai see red. All the years I watched him race, and when I was doing some mod stuff a couple of years ago, he helped me out like you'd not believe. Like I've learnt stuff about getting off the turns in slick and driving on the slick that I never knew existed. And I've now helped, like a good mate of mine, Marty Sauce, I was telling him what Kai was telling me.
Martin Hawson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
he come in after race and goes, I tried that. That light works. That's really cool. I said, yeah, like Kai Waddles showed me that. And it sort of blows me away a bit.
It's weird to think that a kid who hasn't even shaved yet is teaching somebody like you.
I know. It is
someone like you how to drive. Yeah.
I don't think Marty shaved either.
To be fair, Mr. Horson doesn't shave.
Mr. Horson.
It's not Mr. Horson, you fucking idiot. It's Marty Sauce.
It's so funny though.
You ask anyone that's raced modifieds for 30 years, they don't know who Martin Horson is, but they know who the sauce bottle is.
But how does a bloke who walks around every day in a suit just go out in the track and just trash just a beast like that? It's crazy.
It's cool, isn't it?
It is cool.
Yeah. So anyway, can we go back to...
Yeah, go back.
Yeah, we just keep butting in, whatever. Just go back.
So anyway, me and Barry, it was brilliant. Those years we were taking it really serious. He had his, I reckon, VYVZ thing, and we had the EL at the time, and that was my Hayden car, and it was a cool car, and it was off its head.
Yeah.
So it was good at the time. Coming to that title, I honestly believe we were a chance. If you don't go thinking you're a chance, you might as well just go for a good time.
Yeah.
Or not leave it home, but go and have a good time and drink beers. So we went there with a chance because at the time I thought Barry was the best, and it proved, and since that he is. And that'd be the missus ringing. Don't worry about her. She's on her way to Adelaide. She's probably lost or something. Let's keep her lost, eh? But, so that rivalry was really cool. I can remember going to Bordertown one year, and she, as we rolled in the joint, she was like pretty slick joint that night, and it was right up his alley, and I didn't like it slick that much at the time. And we changed a few things, and I remember winning that race thinking, shit, I didn't think that would happen. And both of us had finished. And then I went to, I reckon it was Murray Bridge 2 weeks later, and I think I ran second to him then, but I reckon I was done by half a lap to run second. So that week, and when I done him, it wasn't it was close, but we'd had yellows. Every time there's a yellow, I'd just pull away. And I think, well, I've got his measure here. I couldn't wait for Murray Bridge, because at Murray Bridge, I'd always been thereabouts, but Barry just beat me. And I thought, finally, I'm going to Murray Bridge. I'm just going to hand it to him. Yeah. I got there and fuck me dead. I don't know what happened. He was like, in 2 weeks, just it's the car and the track, and he just gets more, he just gets more animal in him and just goes faster. Like he does now.
He's a beast.
He turns up to WA, drives someone else's car, and like, I know he DNF, but wins all the heats on the first night, then gets a second, and he's leading the final. And
What did he qualify for pole? 7 Aussies in a row or some shit?
I think it was 7 or 8 in a row,
That's
And
ridiculous.
Big D probably upset that
But he DNF'd all of them.
when
bar one.
Big D qualified off pole for the title that you won, your first title, didn't
No, Big D
Nah.
ended up out of
Out of
two.
equal two.
So
Yeah, okay.
Barry was pole, but Barry elected to start
Outside.
outside, and Big D was equal with Jamie O.
Big D was just
Big D and
underprepared like normal. I'll tell you a story last night. This is Big D. I just got to tell this because it just blows me away.
Can you tell everyone that the gates closed at 4 o'clock?
So
He
the
rolls
gates-
on in there at 5:30, 6 o'clock.
So Timus moved their start time forward, and so I go out to the speedway thinking Big D's already going to be out there. I give him a call. I'm like, hey, how far are you off? And he's like, oh, heading to work now to load the car. I'm like, oh shit, was it? Yeah, no, the back gate's locked, man. And he's just like, oh fuck, I'm probably late. I said, you are late, man. Oh well, I'll just go home. Don't worry about it. So I'm like, fuck this. Like, I'm getting on the phone, ringing Leanne and stuff to get the back gate open. He did not care at all. Wheels it out there. Three wins. It was a good night for him, but doesn't care. But let's talk about last night, Foey. What happened?
Yeah.
Right, well...
I'll just actually before you say, I'll
wrecked
say
it.
I'll say
I've
what
wrecked
happened.
it.
I'll say what happened from the hill.
Uh,
So I'm standing there watching. The Faux train doesn't usually make mistakes by himself, and then I just watch your EL just drive into the wall, all just straight in. It was pretty wild.
it was wild,
And some guy goes, "Oh, well, he fucked up," and I said, "Nah, can't see Faux doing that. Like that's a beginner's thing."
Yeah.
So what happened?
Well, it's probably good that it happened this week instead of last week. So on the EL Falcons, they have like or most of them with the dummy shaft that comes off from the rack up to your knuckle before the firewall. And occasionally the bolt will come loose and it might strip the spline, which has happened to me before in the past. Long story short, so that doesn't happen, I just drill a hole right through it and just run a little bolt through it. Well, I've ran a bolt that's probably a bit bigger than I should have. So where the bolt goes through, and which is close to the end where it goes up into the little dummy shaft goes up inside, it just snapped off. I just turned in, and next minute I'm turning the wheel, and it was like, you get them forklift knobs?
Yeah.
That's what it was like. I spun that thing that fucking hard, and the wheel was just like spinning in front. I actually had time, because the track was so wet,
Yeah, it was greasy.
it was crazy. I had time to actually look at the wheel and go, wow, that's cool, as I'm heading to the fence. And I had my foot on the brake, and
I know a bit of a story about it a while ago. Top Gun, I reckon. You started off the rear, and you made your way to the front pretty quick. Looked like you were probably going to succeed, and then you sort of slowed up a bit, and we were trying to work out what changed,
yeah,
and steering wheel was loose.
steering wheel. So
Trying to do it up with your fingers on the way.
Yeah, so what happened was Top Gun, it was always it's always something pretty cool or good money or something to go rear. And that night there was a prize, and I reckon it was worth about $500-600 and to go rear. So I took that, and I was back up to second. I think there was about 10 laps to go, maybe 8 laps to go, and yellow come out. And I can just remember the wheel being loose. Because you have a steering pad, I sort of just relied on the steering pad to, hold the nuts up. I should have not took the steering pad off, because it was the only thing that was holding the bolts in. So I've grabbed it around the back. Two of the nuts were gone. So then I'm feeling around. I found one on the floor, so I'm doing it back up. But then under the yellow, I've yanked the steering pad off, and then I'm holding it and doing them up with my fingers on the back. But then there was no steering pad there to hold it on, and long story short, lap and a half to go. The steering wheel come off, so I just grabbed onto the shaft and just rode around for about a lap and a half, just steered it with that. And I think I ended up dropped it from second back to fourth. But I can remember the tip in on the last turn. I thought if I go real close to fence and just try and drive it around on the cushion, it will just steer itself. But you think to yourself, when you're hanging on a wheel and you give it a yank, it just rips in hard. And I thought that in my head, and I thought, well, because I'm only hanging onto the shaft, I'm going to have to really yank this in. So I've turned my shaft as hard as I could. And fuck it.
Talking about speedway.
When it grabbed up and went the other way, I was shitting myself. Yeah, but anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's funny. While I'm sitting here, I'm just wondering what's to go with the shirt.
Yeah, what is the go with that shirt? Hopefully I'll be able to zoom in on that when I edit it.
That's me Johnny Benson shirt.
Full disclosure, I'm a Johnny Benson fan. So
Yeah, I love Benson.
Well, good on you, because I'm not.
He rolled it in the driveway, didn't he?
The funniest thing is, Shane Mack that drives his car now, I'm a massive Shane Mack fan.
yeah, he's good.
He's
He is a
cool
good
guy,
dude. Both of McDonald's are really good, really nice guys.
And Shane Mack is like, did you watch the Royal where he got, I don't know, they might have been Dyson for around about 10th or something. And him and that another dude, that yellow VS, they've had a bit of a coming together. That was the wild side of Shane Mack. Just goes around under yellow, they start slamming each other.
Into him.
I'm like, how fucking good is this? It's the best race of all time's going on at the front, yet I'm watching at the back because I'm all for a bit of a how do you do?
Yeah.
What happens on the track stays on the track. It was mint.
Yeah, so probably want to ask a few other questions. Obviously, the used to run the Visor, Crazy Kid.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
So, Wild Child was already taken. Mark Jennings had that. And that was pretty much my old man's deal, actually, when we started speedwaying and stocking. And we had the first ever car was a Cortina, Tia Cortina I got it from Albert Fell, actually. And he got it for next to nothing. And the old man's like, I paid everything up to there, and I had no money to get a license and no money to Jake's just sneaking off for another piss.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no money for a license, no money for stickers. Or back then it was not stickers, it was all paint. But, so the old man took it in, got it signed writing for me and come back with that on the visor. That was
Yeah.
it.
So, I mean, you've sort of been, in the last 20 years, you've seen the sport develop and change and grow. And obviously, street stocks has been primarily where you've raced. How big a change have you, like, when was the most drastic change to the class as far as car speed and presentation? Like, when did that all sort of line up together?
To me, Speedway changed at Mount Gambier Australian Production Sedan title.
Yep.
So at the time, I was heavily into my proddies and dabbling a little bit with modified production as well. But when we turned up to that, and there was a vote for, like, each year at a national title, they asked for opinions of drivers and different things they're looking at. And we had a vote on injection because street stocks had gone to injection. Mm-hmm. And at that meeting, I think there was I don't know, it was around about 50 drivers, give or take. But I can remember voting to bring injection into productions, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that put my hand up at that, because I'm thinking to myself, street stocks is advanced. At Mildura at the time, we were running club shows with anything from 25, 30 production sedans. Michael Hines at the time was sponsoring the class, and we had some, like, Laidlaw used to come up regularly all the time. Sheeny was in it. Guys from over, Rand Griffith, Leighton Way, Harrison, and these blokes would come over here all the time. Zach Calderwood would come to club shows. Pumper. We had club shows all the time, 30 cars, and it was grouse. And then
it's just dropped off. Like, Proddies in Mildura just dropped right away.
it just disappointed. And it was after that weekend. I went in, I'm thinking to myself,
Too slow to change the rules, you reckon?
too slow to change the rules. And then when they did it, and the reason it didn't happen was states like that were big, like your WA and that didn't want it. And then when it did happen, WA's jumping up and down saying, oh, this is going to wreck the class, rah, rah, rah. Once it eventually happened, productions went nuts in Queensland. And now WA mightn't like it and they might think it's not true, but Queensland is the production sedan state where
Yeah, I think so.
forever it was Western Australia, but they're not anymore. The production sedans in Queensland.
It's kind of funny how that happens, isn't it? How states have a preference to a certain class. Like Vic has a huge stocky representation. they got strong representation in proddies and modifieds too, but stronger in their stockies. And then you look at Queensland sort of being the go-to modified state and WA being the go-to production state.
Yeah, I think production's in. I look at WA as more of a. I think they're probably a street stock state as well.
Yeah, big numbers.
Yeah, massive numbers. Their proddies are really good as well. Obviously, with the title being at Allenbrook would be pretty cool. But modifieds over there, I don't know why it struggles. Like, you think of states of where modified should go well. I don't know why it doesn't go better over there, and because there's a lot more money over there. But maybe it's because the more money, that's why late models is better over there, because guys are skipping modifieds to go to late models. Who knows? Maybe it's a promotion thing over in Western Australia. Or
yeah, we are starting to see that now too with guys. Modified numbers have dwindled, and obviously late model numbers are picking up, and even sprint car numbers are falling down, and more guys going into late model. But they probably have more tracks over there too that are suited to the late model. Like the Motorplex is sort of, the late model requires that bigger track, and the Motorplex has got that. Yeah,
we'll see in WA. Yeah, that's your summer track, but then comes winter time where the Allenbrook is a big track as well, and then obviously Colley's a big track, and you get Bunbury's a big track, Albany's a big track. All these joints are wide. And when I say big tracks, they don't have to be long tracks. Late models are suited to just wide tracks.
Yeah.
And I think Mildura could be, if Mildura's pole line moved in 5 metres, it would be 10 times the track it is now.
Yep.
And that would be pure. People go, oh yeah, it'd only be a 350 metre track.
Not when you're running the boards.
Not when you're around the fence. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
What will make it better is sliders would be better. Sprint cars would be 10 times better at Mildura. Sprint cars at Mildura, the 360s is perfect for Mildura. 14s at Mildura, they're not that good.
No, they're too much car for the track.
Yeah.
So what do you think the biggest issue in Speedway is right now for us?
Self-promotion is what I reckon.
So you're talking about me and Nev?
No, this is the funny thing. Shows like this is cool, but you don't see enough guys go out and do enough for their own stuff. Everyone's relying on SSA, or everyone's relying on the class. No one wants to do their own shit. As dumb as it sounds, promotion, whether it's good or bad, is still promotion.
Yep.
So if you've got, for instance.
Is that why your name's always in the headlines? Because if you're not doing good, you're going to do something bad.
You know what? You're right. I'm not disagreeing one second. Jake's won absolutely fucking nothing.
Modifieds. Come on.
Nothing.
I want a club show.
Out the best.
I want a club show.
He's once, like, who else goes out and wins nearly every VMPA round but then doesn't win the series?
Me.
Exactly. This is my point.
I got 5th.
But my point is, someone like Jake goes out there and is fast and got a bit of an opinion and says it, whatever, and everyone knows who Jake is. Everyone knows who, for instance, in Stockies, at the moment, everyone knows in Tassie, Nathan Russell, because he's a cool dude. When he's not, even when he has a bad night, there'll be a video of him. It might be 2, 3 in the morning when he's having a beer trying to fix his car, or it'll be the night before race and he's working on the car trying to fix it. But the name's in your head. So his name, I'd never met the dude until the Aussie title at Mildura. And now I think he's like a cool dude. I'm like, oh, he come around me joint, we had a few beers, there's nothing wrong with him.
Yep.
And it's a bit the same, like Jason Jewell's the same. Everyone knows the Jason Jewell car and Dooley these days. In a chat group, we call him Dooley. So he changes his name on his visor to Dooley.
Yeah.
Everyone in the sport now calls him Dooley.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with...
He's also got the most recognisable smile, because he could be having a good day or a bad day and he's still fucking smiling.
He is. Nah, but it's things like that. I think the sport needs characters, and it's like J-Mac's a character, and then you look at Madsen, and if people don't like him, they love him. I reckon he's as cool as. And then I was talking to other people, and they go, oh, I can't stand that wanker.
Yeah. Well, you got to have someone to hate, don't you?
Exactly.
You got to have an
There
arsehole.
always has to be
so
a
the
villain.
people, exactly, that's perfect.
And that's
What
pretty
you
much
say is
you.
right. Yeah, well,
Isn't it?
and you're right. If people don't like me, I don't care.
Yeah.
And the people that do like me, I bet you they don't even like me because of my speedway.
Yeah.
They
Because
would
of your
like
opinion.
They would like me because they've actually spent an hour with me and had a beer and had a chat.
Yeah.
Because if the people that actually spend a bit of time with me and know me, that they don't go away saying, "Oh, you're a fuckhead."
Yeah.
But what I don't like is when people, if they don't like someone, which is fair enough, anyone can dislike someone, but at least appreciate what they can do. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus here, but there's people that I know that don't appreciate how you drive a car because they don't like you. And I always, even if there is dudes out there that I don't like, including, my own brother, I'll give him credit as to how good he can steer a car.
It's funny you say that. I had a guy say to me up in Queensland, and I've raced this dude a couple of times. Didn't even know that I was racing him. He's reasonably new when I did last time. And he says to me, "Oh, you're not that dirty." And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, I always had the opinion from people that he's got mates down here, and in his circle of mates, I was a dirty driver." And I said to him, "I haven't had a black flag for 14 years."
Yeah.
14 years. And in
You got two of the cars now, really?
up to, say, 2 years ago, I'd been racing, 30, 40 shows a year and not getting any flags.
So,
Yeah.
so Kingaroy, you race up there.
Yeah, it was
Kingaroy.
grouse. Awesome.
And I don't know if a lot of people seen it if they were looking a little bit further back from the leaders, but there was a pretty mad race going on with you and Ben Stead.
Oh, yeah.
It was
so
cool.
I know of Ben Stead through them other shit heaps. What are they called? Them
National
four
Four-cylinder.
Yeah, I don't even know what they are. I don't like them. I don't like them at all because to me, I just don't understand.
But on him,
four-cylinders.
just give him some credit. He put
But-
that thing in the mods.
Yeah.
That
yeah,
was-
I know. It was funny, eh?
It made my weekend.
But when I raced him in the stock,
That was the Honda, yeah?
Yeah.
The Honda Prelude.
Yeah.
man, the dude's off his head. Like, you should see, we're coming around for the start, and I was like starting back behind him a couple, and I was watching him like clutching up and revving, and everyone else is driving around. This is like 3 laps before. He was that keen to go racing, and then as soon as the green goes, he's just upper, like
Yeah.
flat out. And then when I'm catching up, I'm like, oh, shit. I had to pass him, I think it was 4 times. And then the yellow would come out and go again. But nah, I'd never race against him ever. But I'd race against him again tomorrow. It was as cool a race as I've had with someone for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool to watch,
And
actually.
we were dicing around down the back, like I think 3rd and 4th or something.
I think it's cool too that obviously the King's Royal is such a big show and draws so many modifieds, but now it's drawing so many Victorians from other classes as far as production, street stocks for the Queen's Royal, and then for their big stocky races too, and they can probably do it with juniors as well, that it could just turn into the biggest weekend for SSA, just a celebration of sedan racing in the country.
Yeah, Wilson I was chatting to Wilson at Toowoomba, and he was telling me he'd give his son the said, do you want to go to the Aussie title for juniors over at Collie, or do we go to King's Royal and you can race Toowoomba and at Kingaroy? And they chose to go up to there. So
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I do like a bit of that stuff. So it's the Queen's Royal is pretty cool. I like that, and I like how it operates.
The
I was
concept.
listening, and I was listening to your last episode about, and I hadn't thought about it, but I like the opinion of, because everyone's going there, like you said, for 3 days anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to watch it. I do like that opinion of new stars for both, because the Friday was slim. Like,
Hey, that's
Yeah.
my idea.
Yeah.
So you agree with me?
I,
That's cool.
I do. I like that. Run
That's
the
mint.
run the new kids
Yeah.
and the new ladies. Run them on the Friday.
And then
Yeah.
allow them too to sit back and watch the top stars of their classes race on the Saturday and Sunday on the biggest stage.
The only thing that makes it hard, it's not hard for the juniors, but with the ladies, if they're in Proddies race that night as well.
Yep.
So you're trying to back a car up from a Proddy race.
So could you move the Proddies to night 2 then?
Well, you probably could with the stockies, and then just have like new stars and those things with the motorbike engines in them.
Yeah, New Stars. Yeah, like you
Mod
said,
lights.
New Stars, Mod
Mod
Lights, night 1. Stockies and Proddies, night 2. And then top stars and mods night 3.
Yeah, you could run top stars for both.
Yeah, for juniors and
the mods.
Yeah.
And because then you've still got, because to be honest, all the hold-ups on night 3 were from new stars in both ladies and juniors.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with, because everyone's got to start somewhere.
And I'll say that
They could have banged on the mod lights for night 1 and 3.
I've driven a stocky around Kingaroy. That is a hard joint to get a stocky around. It is crazy. So, it's probably a big ask for someone that's getting in a car
for the first time to muscle it around.
Yeah, it's so slick. It's not that bad in a modified, but it's sort of like I sort of said today. It's sort of like how Horsham. I hated Horsham in a stocky, but I like Horsham in a mod.
Yeah.
And Kingaroy's sort of the same for me, where I really struggled, unless it was hooky at Kingaroy.
Yeah, I struggled in the final. I tried. We went out for the final last week, and I said to Shana, I'll just cruise around for the first 15, 10 laps. Just follow the other cars. If I get 1 or 2, I was trying to not get sideways, keep the car good, and not get any heat in the tyres. I was struggling to keep up to 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I was like, well, we'll just go to the fence now and just hold it pinned.
And it's a long way around up there.
Yeah, and that's the best part. We talk about good tracks. It's another track that's wide.
Yeah.
That Australian late model title there the other about 2 or 3 years ago, it was cool because the track was wide.
Yeah.
Kwinana's wide. You know, next year the late models go to Warrnambool. Warrnambool, although it's a narrow track, it races wide.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I reckon it'd be cool as
So
well.
we spoke about your racing stockies, obviously.
Yep.
You spoke about your racing your production sedans.
Yep.
Modified sedans. Obviously, you had a spell in a mod for a few years.
Yeah,
You had your own modified. The XF was the first.
Yeah,
mod.
I raced the XF early, well, even before then, before I raced Proddy. So I went out of stockies and bought Paul Salu's XF mod, which was a good car at the time, and we only raced that for probably 6 months to the end of the season because we bought it to race production sedans, and then we went back to Proddies, and then raced Proddies. And while I was in Proddies, good mate of mine, Harold Brennan, had a well, I don't like to say it loud, but he had a wingless sprint. So, one of them things. So yeah, I had a burn in that. That was different. And
well, they had I think when you drove it, it had a coil sprung front end. Yeah. They were trying to do something different.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And it was cool. Like it was, I actually didn't mind it. And that is the only time I've ever sat in the middle. And then from there, obviously racing.
Late model?
Yeah, well, that was what I was going
Yeah.
to talk about. You raced a late model for 2 seasons.
Oh, I had to go 1 year in Crimo's cards. It was when I was doing the track at home here, and come the Easter show, we sort of helped him out a little bit, and just, 1 weekend he just says, oh, do you want to have a go in the morning? I said, well, you're not going to say
you're not
no.
going to say no to a late model.
Nah. So, went out, and it was still pretty. I've never been so raw, as in, I wasn't scared of it at all. I felt real comfortable in it, but raw is in the knowledge of
Setup
in the car and what it could do to just, you get in it and you be slick as, and then you just give it a half a button off and get back on it, and the thing's just gone in a straight line.
Yeah, just a purpose-built race car.
Purpose-built race car, yeah. And so then the following year he had a new car, so I was lucky enough to a mate of his chipped some coin in and got me a steer in that, so we banged around in that for a while.
Yeah, well, you did nearly a whole season.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and it was grouse. We got third of the state title in it. It was pretty cool.
Yep.
So now obviously Shaq in the junior.
Yeah,
And you've
Shaq's
got
in the junior.
Shaq and Frosty racing go-karts, is it? Or just Frosty?
Just Frosty.
Just
in
Frosty?
Frosty in the go-kart. He's they both listen really well. Shaq's struggling a little. I won't say she's struggling a little bit. She's actually struggling a fucking heap. She likes it. She never wanted to race at all. Didn't want anything to do with it. Didn't want to race. And then
Do you think growing up in Dad's shadow, like, not that you ever hid your kids behind you and sort of stood in front of them, but obviously, in especially Shaq's younger years, she grew up seeing her dad be a national champion and being a star, driver in his class. Do you think she rolls out on the track with that added pressure that she's Robbie Faux's daughter?
Not Shakira. She rolls down the track with where's a hair pointing or shit like she does. She comes in and sounds like Span. No, it doesn't, mate.
No, that's Span. I'll tell you something about Span. He should just accept that he's as bold as me and he should shave.
Oh, yeah, he should. I'll tell you something else. Shaq comes in. She never wanted to race. And then one day I built this Hyundai XL. And then I'd done one for Smithy, Trav, young Metcalf, and done one for Dingo. I said, Shaq, why don't you want to race? She says, because I don't want a boy's car. I said, no, they're a girl's car. No, well, all the boys have got one. I said, what do you want then? You can have a Lancer or a Charade. Oh, what do they look like? So we get some pictures out, and she says, I want one of them, a Charade. I said, cool, because, Heath and Nath Thorne.
Yep.
And I get along with Heath. Yeah, I get along with Heath really well. Like, he's, ridiculously smart for someone that looks like just a dickhead. you look at some blokes, you go, this guy's got no idea. But then when you actually...
he's a good dude.
I remember those
smart,
two
man.
kids racing junior sedans.
Don't butt in. I'll tell you a story. We goes to his joint, right, and I had Gumby with me, and he chucks us in the back. I'm in the passenger seat. Gumby's in the back. Heaps old man's in the back with Flatty of all people. I can't remember, little Flatty was in there too, but we were in just a road car, and Heath's just smashing it around their track. I'm having a bit of a laugh. I looks over at Gumby. There was, I kid you not, when I say shit, when we got out, I could smell it. You know that smell when you go, that is shit? I could smell it. Like, Gumby was not hearing it at all. Yeah, no, he fought, and it was funny because me and Flatty were talking about it, and I said, I'll pick him to get a top four at an MJS round this year. And bugging me dead, he got one. I reckon it was at Whaler. I wish he'd just get a car and race it weekly, not fuck around with this car. Go and get that car. I wish he'd just...
How many cars do the Thorne brothers have? And that's before you cut me off for cutting you off. I was going to say.
And now I'm just going to cut you both off.
Those young boys racing at Mildura Junior sedans, they were both in black MJS-sponsored charades. And they just rolled out of nowhere and were fast.
Yeah.
And then as they've gotten, their dad obviously involved in off-roading with Thorne-built off-road vehicles and stuff like that. These kids are that clever for their age. Like, you look at other kids their age who are going out drinking on the weekend. These kids are in the shed welding shit together, just figuring shit out.
Building their own cars.
But how many cars do they have? Like, they've got, everybody I know, I sold my car. Who bought it? One of the Thorny bought it.
Yeah.
Well, they're just building them and smashing them out. And
that's what they do.
Yeah. They just love it, man.
And eventually they're going to figure something out that's going to put them to the front. And no one's going to know.
Technically, I'll tell you what they could figure out: racing them. If they raced them, they would.
I wouldn't say he's not at the front though.
He's good, and both of them are good. And I honestly believe, Nathan, he was ridiculously unlucky to not win that junior title at Darwin. It was his
race to win.
To win. It was his race to lose, and he lost it. It was on that yellow come out, and it was just, he lost it on the yellow. Just changed line a bit. But if Heath, I wish Heath would just get a car, say this is what I'm racing, and just go and race it every week. Because I think once he raced it every week and just continuously raced and did 30 shows in a stocky for a year or whatever they choose, it would be really good.
His transition from a front-wheel drive junior to a stocky was pretty good. Like, he was fast in his first show.
But as Faux said, these are kids that fang around in a paddock.
But why would it be different, though?
Well, you just sometimes see kids come from front-wheel drive cars that don't quite... It takes them a little bit longer.
I don't reckon there's any.
So you don't think that putting kids in a front-wheel drive car in junior sedans now...
It's the feel for a car. So if you've got a feel whether the front steering it or the back steering it, it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
Kids that have got it and can feel it will just do it. Perfect example is rear-wheel drive to a front-wheel drive, then back to a rear-wheel drive. Who's the Atkins kid with a funny smile? What's his name? that pundit.
They both got weird smiles.
Todd. Nah, not Brock. Brock, here's one for you. If Brock goes the Aussie title this year, I'll say he'll top 3. If he doesn't win it.
Yeah.
Well, he could have won
pretty
it at
good
Murray
bet.
Bridge, but Jake took him out.
Yeah.
So that's there's my prediction.
His left rear was a bit lean.
Hang on.
Bit weak.
That is my prediction. Brock Atkins will win the Aussie.
Just on that, so who, with the pundit, who is it? Todd. Yeah. Well, that's what we thought too.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking Jay Fraser.
I thought it was who?
Josh Fraser.
Josh Nassau. Don't know the dude.
That's what a lot of people who raced against him said too.
Yeah.
Estimate though, we get the blame for it. It's cool. We just take the heat. But yeah, no, I reckon you're right about Brock.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good. I think when you look at modifieds, I think there's. Well, I honestly think yourself, and I think obviously Kai who's the current, but Aiden is pretty good, and I think there's not too many that are close.
Yeah.
As far as older dudes go, Smithy's only like 40. And
He looks about 30. He's the opposite of Jake. He looks younger.
Nah, check him out of late.
You reckon he's got real old real quick?
He got real old in the last.
That was
3
when
months.
Raymond went around the outside of him at Sydney. He grew a heap of wrinkles.
But I think mods,
So, in your opinion, greatest driver of all time, we said Barry.
Yeah, I think Barry.
Who's the coolest driver of all time?
Well, if you're asking my personal opinion, greatest driver of all time, it's Mark Jennings. But if you want the honest opinion, it's still Mark Jennings. But if you want everyone else's opinion, it's
Yeah, but you say Mark Jennings, so tell us why Mark Jennings.
Well, just from what I've seen him race early on, where his gear was like, it was good gear, but
Good in a shit heat.
it was good in a shit heat.
Yeah.
And then even when he built that EA and come back, whenever he's got a good car, he's not off the front. He's always at the front.
Yeah.
Unless he's racing heat races in WA and manage him up. He's just a shit truck.
I remember when he made his comeback at the Aussie title at Redline a few seasons ago.
Borrowed a car.
And everybody told me about Mark Jennings, and I'd only ever really heard about him from having conversations with you telling me how much of a dude he is, or Big D or Snake or someone like that. But the amount of hype that was about this one person coming back to a class, like at the time they broke the record of most cars ever to an event, was that Aussie title at Redline.
We don't talk about Redline, but it was a great mate.
Yeah. And another awesome sedan finish was when...
Just on Redline, that reverse beeper Faux he had on at Redline.
I backed that.
He
I
gave
backed
that.
You did.
He gave that to me for Sydney.
Everybody else drove forward. You put your hand on the back seat and looked backwards.
I did. I come around. I thought, I after winning every heat, I said to Pargo was crewing me that night, and I can remember saying to him, I reckon I've got this. Fuck me, was I wrong? First turn, it was all right the first start, and on the second start, I just heard this massive thud, and I thought, what the fuck was that? We had no idea till after. It was actually the next day that we found shit torn out of it, but fuck, she was a handful.
Yeah.
Anyway, go back.
No good. No, I was going to say how good that race was too, that finish between Bear and McClure. Obviously, Oggy started weighing in too, but...
Weighing in at about fuck me bed now.
What a segue.
I shouldn't have said that.
Weighing in with
I didn't
fucking
mean it
10
like that.
bucket of chicken.
All right. I think that means we're done.
Full disclosure, I'm a massive Oggy fan. Just
Yeah,
saying.
same here.
Yeah, Oggy's cool. All right.
All right, before we go, top 3 stocky title.
Oh, for this year?
Yep.
Honest opinion, I think first will be Barry.
Yep.
I reckon that second will be Bailey Heinrich,
Yep.
and I'll say that I'll get third.
So you going?
Obviously.
Oh, I'm gonna get. I've just decided.
He just decided right then that he's
You
getting
fucking
third.
told me you didn't have a spot on the boat.
I don't. I haven't booked.
Right, if you can get Faux Train on the boat, write in, let us know. Also, Faux is going to be keeping an eye on the comments on the YouTube channel, so if you've got something that you want to ask Robbie Faux, fire it in. We might give him access to the Black Flag account for a little while. And
no, don't do that. I'll just tell you what I think.
Let him reply some answers.
Put me on your account. Shit'll happen about 2 in the morning. You won't be like...
We'll get a Speedway Australia ban.
No such thing.
When they come on the episode, they'll be coming to hand us our suspension.
Just on that, we'll talk about a few episodes. We're getting SSA, head technical director, I think he is. Benny Taylor. So he's going to be on in a few weeks. So that's going to be pretty cool.
Confirmed. We can confirm that.
We can confirm that. We've got a few things that we're going to ask him, and anyone out there that's got some issues or any questions they want put forward to SSA, send them in, because we're gonna have Benny on the show, and we can ask him whatever you want. So that's going to be a big deal for us.
That's cool.
It is cool. It's SSA trying to relate.
They're trying to reach out.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I actually don't think they do a bad job of it though. Like, I look at SSA.
Well, that's rich coming from you. How many bands you've got?
No, well, I'm being honest here, right? So when I started, you couldn't approach SSA or Speedway, whatever they were back then. You couldn't approach them at all. Like, it was ridiculous. The bloke that was running the show was a pain in the ass. No one liked him. People that were on the boards didn't like him. And then, I'm not even joking, but the moment, say, like with Chief on the show now, Chief is a good dude. Everyone gets along with him. You go to titles, everyone sort of scrutiny him's a lot more casual than it used to be. When there is issues, they speak with the drivers. It's not so direct as how it used to be. Like, I think Speedway is so much better in the right direction now than it was. And the way I don't like CTAC, I think that CTAC is pretty shit. I think that, the drivers should be CTAC, not a CTAC committee. Drivers are CTAC. They then give their opinion, which goes back to SSA or people.
So you'd just like to see one technical advisor to the committee of
if you're CTAC, don't have a state one by a state or whatever. Just have a national group of 4 or 5 blokes, which all the state, you still have your state guy, the state drivers get together. It all goes off, and then to your state bloke who takes it. You don't need like state by state CTAC. Or it's shit house. It's corrupt as like you'd not believe. I've seen it in street stocks with, for instance, engine builders wanting certain shit get pushed through, and it's in now.
Yeah.
And it's the same. Modifieds, people want shit in. You can just corrupt the shit out of it and get it in.
I think too, though, that if someone's going to have an opinion that wants to push something in, there needs to be somebody who wants to push back.
Yep.
And if you don't agree with it, you need to put yourself in a position that can stop it happening.
So, for instance, you want to take something to a state body. If my state CTAC doesn't want what I want, I've got no opinion to the national body. None.
Yeah.
So anything that I ever bring up with Speedway, I do not once go through the state. I couldn't give a shit. I'll just go straight to the national and go, this is what I reckon. So
you want me to bring that up with Benny?
No. Hey, once you speak to him, he'll probably already tell you I have. But I think that there's too much. What's the point of me going to my club going to the state going to a CTAC, the CTAC then going to the national body, and then the national body taking it to the...
We need to go back. Well, we need to go to a national yearly survey, do you reckon?
I don't know if it's a yearly survey, but it's those who are interested will put forward their opinion.
But there's blokes that'll piss and moan all year long, but they won't go and do something about it. So does
you know what? Good on them. If they want to piss and moan and do nothing about it, they get fucking nothing done.
Yeah, that's
if someone wants to go out of their way and say, I want this.
And I'm prepared to do this to achieve it.
I want to put my Burt box in my street stock. I'll take that to a national, mention to my state bloke.
Best day of my life was when I put Burt box in my modified.
Exactly. and we'll go to a national thing. I'm missing all the other bullshit that goes in between. Because by how many times do you tell someone to go to McDonald's and get your large fries with a sweet and sour sauce, and they come back with no sweet and sour sauce?
Yeah, it's fucked.
Exactly. This is my point.
Yeah.
So every time I send something if I went to Mildura, and then Mildura would change it a little bit, give it to Campo. Campo would change it a little bit, take it to the state CTAC. State CTAC then changes a little bit, it goes to national. By the time it gets to national body, what I said is not even what I said. So why even have it?
Yeah, so they have a yearly technical conference.
Correct,
So
September.
That you think that should be open to drivers, and we should be more involved in that.
Yeah.
That's.
Do you think just through written submissions? So have those submissions
Well,
in by,
why just
say, the
written?
start of
If
August?
people want to go,
Yeah.
why not just open up a floor?
Because then it happens what happens at Sydney, where everybody decides to have a different opinion. It turns into an argument.
No,
if it's a
no,
written
no.
submission,
No,
you
no,
get
no.
your point across. Someone stands up, reads your
You
point.
send in your written submission, and then it has to be tabled.
And then
So then you go to there, and then it gets read out, and then they open it to the floor. Those who've got the interest in the class or getting that submission through will turn up. Those who don't bother, don't turn up.
But
won't
do you
give
think a
shit.
decision should be made on that? If somebody sends in a written submission and then it gets tabled at the technical meeting,
Yep.
should there then be a 2-week period where people can actually sit and read the written submission
Correct.
rather than just having a blood rush answer?
No, that's right. That's what my point is. So you have it, you get a submission, it then goes to the Speedway Standards Australia. That submission then gets put out on open forums, whatever. People then got their right of reply, whatever they want to do, and then they can also say, this will be tabled at our national conference. This is the date that it'll be. And then everyone already knows about it because they've already been told about it, whether it be email or,
and then open it to a vote
And
of
then-
a mail-in vote, and then a vote at the thing, or
whatever, however
or
they
just
choose
a mail
to,
vote.
however they choose to do it. I don't really care. I just think the way that to get something to the national body is shit. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So your best, whenever I want something taken, whether it's my opinion on how we should run a national title with so many A, B, C, D, F, whatever mains, whether it's that or whether I want to bring in, I want Integra IDAs or something in street stocks.
That'd be cool.
No, it'd be shit ass. But if that's my point, I wouldn't take it to the state. I would mention it to Campo, and as the stuff that I bring up now, I ring him and go, what's the rule on this? What do you think on this? Oh, it's this or whatever. But I'm still going straight to the national bloke anyway, because at least then I've told the state what I think. But then you go, because otherwise, and I know for a fact that I've said stuff and then I've told it exactly how I've said it to national, and then by the time it's got to national through all the other channels, it's way different to what I've actually said to begin with.
Yeah.
So why do the other channels? You don't go to the Olympic Games as a swimming coach and say, my swimmer needs to do this time on that time on that time. The one coach speaks to the one swimmer and they go and do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Anyway.
Well, that's something we can put to the SSA in coming episodes. Faux Train, thank you very much, man. Appreciate your time coming in, telling it how it is. Hopefully we didn't get you another ban.
No bands today. I'm pretty. Anyway, my name, just for those out there, is Tori Nyhug. I do not know Robbie Faux at all. So yeah, just big shout out to all the Faux Train fans, and yeah, just remember Tori Nyhug. So
All right. And if you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, like the Facebook page. We appreciate it. It's going to keep us coming in more and more to do more episodes. Snake, thank you very much. Faux Train, thank you. And we're done.
cheers, boys.
Thank you.
Woo! That's cool fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, what do you cunts like this?